Hello, beautiful people around the world. This is the Apostle Vio Godi podcast, and we are going to be looking at the cause of religious violence in Nigeria. I started courses with the diagnosis and strategic recommendation to the state and religious communities, how it affects everyone, and how it makes the country to be in an unstable condition, human rights, justice, and every other things that follows. The abstract from this podcast is going to be coming to you. Stay tuned to this podcast and learn about the violence in Nigeria. I'll be taking this from the abstract. The literature on religions violence in Nigeria largely implicates social, economic, political, and governance deficits as the major cause of such violence. This article, however, departing from the undying causes approach, undertaking an analytical inquiry into the immediate and visible factor that triggered religion conflicts in the country. It also evaluates the nature of state management of religion conflict in Nigeria and posits that government emphasize approach to this conflict as well as the absence of a long-term strategy for its management account for their persistent manifestation, drawing from the finding made. Recommendation on the appropriate approach to curb religious violence in the country are profane and can be attended to through the arrival and possible intervention of the government in every part of the country. I will introduce to you religious violence, and I'm going to start with this introduction. Religion could serve and has indeed served as an instrument of social harmony in many civilizations. Paradoxically, however, it has also served as a motivation for violence. Hence, its indication in some literature as a double-edged sword. Marigine 2011, 7 2003, Obasi 2009. From time immemorial, religion bigots have attempted to legitimize violence in the name of God. Contemporary acts of extreme violence, such as terrorist attacks, are often justified as holy welfare. In the past 2 decades, religion has been at the center of most violent conflicts around the world, thereby gaining notorically as one of the prime security challenge confronting the world in the wake of Cold War. We go to Josmega 2016, we go to Josmega 2020, go to Josmega 2002, I'll go to Josmega 2016, Abonema 2020. A study conducted in Spain has found that society that are divided along religious lines are more prone to intense and prolonged conflicts than those divided by political, territorial, and ethnic differences. Reina Cora 2002. It quotes that perhaps this reality explain the prime position that religion violence occupies on Nigeria's security pyramid. As we shall see in this article, religiously motivated violence has plagued the country more than any security challenge. Yes. Those are severally caused diagnoses of religion conflict in Nigeria. But much of the literature in this area pay premier attention to the underlying social, political, economic, and governance factors that participate not only religious but violence conflict generally. This article presents as a point of departure an analytical inquiries into the immediate and visible factors that have triggered religious conflict in the country. Primarily, this article identifies the immediate and visible drivers of religious violence in Nigeria and evaluates the management strategy that the Nigeria state has adopted for its containment over the years. It concludes by making recommendations to the various religious communities in Nigeria, as well as the Nigeria state, and on appropriate strategy for managing religion violence. As noted early, religion sometimes plays significant role in communal harmony, yet it is often instrumentalized for political and other established interests to the deterrent of peace and social harmony. This article is therefore intent on objectively criticizing the negative deployment of religion as an instrument for social disharmony. Attempt is therefore made to dispassionately analyze those conflicts inducing elements of religious practice by both religious communities without any intent to undermine the integrity of their principle or creating a sense of bias. Now, we look at the background to the religious violence in Nigeria 1999 to 2011. With a population of over 150 million inhabitants, the major religious group in Nigeria are Christianity and Islam. There is neither a scientific representation of the numeric strength of those religious groups, nor for their geographical distribution. Nonetheless, the Islamic faith preponderates in the northwestern and northeastern parts of the country, comprising Sokoto, Zamfara, Borno, Yobe, Katsina, Kano, Kebbi, Jigawa, Bauchi, Taraba, Gombe, and Adamawa states. On the other hand, Christianity is more prominent in the southeast and south-south geographical zones, comprising Imo, Enugu, Anambra, Abia, Ebonyi, Delta, Edo, Bayelsa, River, Cross River, Akwa Ibom State. The southeast and north central zone comprising Lagos, Oyo, Ogun, Ondo, Ekiti, Osun, Kaduna, Niger, Plateau, Nasarawa, Benue, Kogi State, and the Federal Capital Territory, respectively, have a reasonable balance number of Muslim and Christian, although often marginalized traditional religion has a fair degree of fellowship and is not by any means insulated from religious violence. For instance, in parts of Kogi, Kwara, and Nasarawa states, masquerade activities associated with traditional religion have been a major source of conflict. Osage and Soboro 2005 are seen in table 1 below. The foremost incident of religious violence since Nigeria returned to democracy in 1999 was triggered by an alleged violation of a traditional religion right, although lack of adequate statistical data has made it extremely difficult to estimate the exact number of religious conflicts in Nigeria and their resultant fatalities. The general assumption is that the incidence of religious violence has grown exponentially since the return to democracy rules in 1999. Strategy on religious crisis across the country, however, showed that at least 95% of them occurred in the northern part of the country. In view of the perennial religious tension between the two dominant religion groups in Nigeria, there is a sustained culture of mutual suspicion and unearthly rivalry between them. The introduction of Section 38, 1 and 10 into the Nigeria Constitution, which have guaranteed freedom of religion and prohibited the declaration of state religion respectively, has done little to adonate the frequency of religion conflicts, as state patronage and veneration of the two dominant religious groups has helped in heightening the undying tension and rivalries. Those conflicts between Nigeria Christian and Muslim and often manifested in violent inter-religious violence. We look at this table, some cases of religious violence in Nigeria 1999 to 2012. Number 1, June 1999, Ogun. Violence crashes between Yoruba traditional worshippers and Hausa group in Shagamu, Ondo State. 2, 22 July 1999, Kano, reprisal to the Shagamu crisis above. 3, 20 December 1999, Kwara, Muslim fundamentalist attack and destroy over 14 churches in Ilorin. 4, February 21, 2000, Kaduna, riots over the introduction of Sharia. 5, 28 February 2000, Abia, religious riots in Aba and minor disturbance in Umaya. 6, 8 September 2000, Gobe, the Katugo religious crisis. 7, 12 October 2001, Kano, religious riots in Kano. 8, 7 September 2001, Jos, a religious riot between Muslim and Christian in Jos. Mosque, churches and several property were damaged or touched. The clashes started on September 7 and lasted nearly 2 weeks, ending on September 17. 9, 6 November 2002, Kaduna, the Miss War world crisis in which Muslims attack Christians and churches. 8 June 2004, Adamawa, religious conflict between Christian and Muslim in Numa towns. 18 February 2006, Borno, religious conflict between Christian and Muslim in Meduguri. 22 March 2007, Gobe, Muslim pupi killed their Christian teachers, Mr. Oluwatoyin Oluseshan. I beg your pardon. 28 November 2008, Plateau, religious violence between Muslim and Christian in the city of Jos. 21 February 2009, Bauchi, ethno-religious conflict at the Makauma New Extension. 30 July 2009, Bauchi, Bono, I beg your pardon, Kano, Yobe, religious violence unleashed by the radical Boko Haram sect on Christian. 29 December 2009, Bauchi, religious violence unleashed by the Kalakatu sect on Christian. 17 to 20 January 2009, Plateau, resurgence of religious crisis in Jos. 17 March 2010, Plateau, attack by Fulani Muslims on Christian-dominated village of Dogo, Naawa, Shems and Fans in Jos. 17 March 2010, Plateau State, suspected Fulani militiamen attack residents of Biye and Batems in Jos. 11 April 2010, Plateau, attack on a Christian village of Berumstock, some 30 kilometers south of Jos by suspected Fulani herdsmen. 22 May 2010, Plateau, murder of 3 Muslim Fulani herdsmen at Tuzak village in Bakinlada local government, Plateau State. 22 May 2010, Plateau, attack on some Christians who were returning from their place of worship along Bauchi Road in Jos. 17 July 2010, Plateau, Muslim Fulani herdsmen launched an overnight attack on a Christian village, Mayan, north of the city of Jos. 29 August 2011, Plateau, clashes between Muslim and Christian, Rukoba Road and Ferragadi in Jos during the Ramadan prayers. 16/11/2011, Police headquarters Abuja, suicide bomber attacked the police headquarters Abuja by suspected Boko Haram Islamists whose ideology is framed around religious. 26 August 2011, UN House Abuja, suicide bombing at the UN House Abuja by suspected Boko Haram Islamists. 5 November 2011, Potiskum, Damaturu and Meduguri, coordinated attack on churches and police stations by suspected Boko Haram Islamists. 25 December 2011, Magdala, Niger State, near the FCT, the bomb were alleged to have been planted at the church's parking lot. 5 to 6 January 2012, Gobe State, gunmen stormed a Deeper Life church in Gobe, shooting it indiscriminately at worshippers. The Boko Haram Islamist sect claimed responsible for the shooting. 5 to 6 January 2012, Mubi, Adamawa State, suspected Boko Haram stormed a gathering of Igbo Christian and shoot sporadically, killing over a dozen and injuring others in apparent execution of an intimate term given by the Boko Haram Islamist sect to Southern Christian living in the north to live. As we go deep into the analysis this moment, you will find out that Christian was always targeted in this attack. So the religious war caused in Nigeria is a target at the Christian which are in Nigeria. This is not just a war, it's a religious war. You will listen to the next podcast by clicking the like button and subscribe to this channel. God bless you.